Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the HAWX Space Program. Last episode, we saw this mysterious aircraft taking off, and even though we hadn't, the tower hailed it many times, trying to figure out who exactly it was and what aircraft this was. It was one of their experimental aircraft, and they weren't quite sure why it was taking off. They didn't know who exactly took this craft. Um, They could only guess who it might be, but they don't totally know. And we're waiting for it to show us. And come on. This was one of their longer range cruise aircraft where it could. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yep, of course, it's Jebediah. Um, he headed out on to search for Bill and Bob because there is a special mission coming up that he did not want to miss. He did not want to hand it off to other rookies that are that were eyeing it very hungrily. So he wanted to go get the original trio and bring them back. That's so they could get the get this mission underway. And as you can see here, they are. Jebediah successfully recovered them. Don't ask me how they actually got them all in that two-man cockpit. Yes, in this loud thing. But we are heading off to Minmus once again. The trio is heading off to Minmus. Just so you don't have to live in a shroud of mystery. This rocket is a big one, particularly because it's taking up everything we need for one mission, for the whole mission, instead of like the new 2 Trust, how it took up, they actually sent up probably 6, 7 different rockets before they actually had everything they wanted. This rocket is going to put this thing up in orbit, it's going to adjust its orbit, and it's going to fly out to Minmus. So this thing was really quite tricky. I probably sent it up several times trying to get it, trying to get it to go up, because I've been really struggling with have enough power, at least as of right now, with these 2.5 meter parts, since I don't technically have the high powered engines for those yet. So yeah, I've been messing with that a lot. Right now I kind of have, it's kind of a midline 2.5 meter engine. It probably could also fit on a it could probably fit on the 1.75. I think that's the right size parts, but it worked particularly well for what I wanted it to do right here. And I think I was playing without listening to the game, so I didn't realize, oh, these burned out. And there we go, we finally let them go. And I love these things. I love having these 6 boosters on the side, because when they fan out, they kind of create that star pattern, which I think is really cool. And I'm sorry, I totally forgot. This is actually a 2.5 narrowed down to a 1.75 meter part. And there we go. There we can see our little Mu 2 rocket here. We have our command pod and lander, very much like missions that, like the Apollo missions they sent out. Alright, our solar panels out. I love these, the Cosmos solar panels. They're some of my favorite solar panels, as you'll see later. But yeah, I struggled a little bit to get this thing up into orbit. I still did, because again, I'm using a 1.75 meter rocket to lift a quite heavy rocket, considering you could probably stack both the lander on one rocket and the command pod on another rocket with all I had. So we ditched the first stage there, our lift stage, and we've got this large nozzle high ISP rocket engine pushing us, and we still manage to struggle because we just don't quite have enough thrust. And you can see I'm actually on a downward trajectory right here, but I do manage to get it up into orbit, luckily enough, and I managed to salvage it, yeah. And fortunately, we don't have any issues with fuel. I packed this thing so full of fuel that, ooh, yes, and here we are going to dock this thing. Notice how I do leave that decoupler. Is actually, what I did was I stuck 2 decouplers on top of each other. One facing up, one facing down. So first it would decouple from the lander section and stick to the bottom of the rocket engine, and then once I was facing the lander, I could decouple it. I probably don't decouple it until a little bit later, maybe about here. Yep, I do. Alright, so that's what they figured would work the best, and so in reality, you probably could do this the opposite way, so the command pod, particularly with the way I've set up the fairings, but the command pod is actually underneath the lander craft, but I wanted to mimic Apollo style lander and command pod, and so I made it harder for myself, basically. And so we got it all docked up. It wasn't too bad, especially with the mech jeb. You just hit the parallel negative. Make sure to set control from here, from your docking port, and make sure to point to set your target as a docking port, and you can pretty much just slide right in there. And so we set another maneuver node to push ourselves out to Minmus. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't really know what I was doing here. I probably wasn't paying too much attention. Like I said, I really wasn't listening too much to the, well, you know what, we'll blame it on Jeb. He was too excited to get out to Minmus. And so we started burning, and unfortunately, this thing wobbled all over the place and didn't really want to fly straight. I don't know why. It's not like the decouplers were struggling all that much. You particularly see it here as I was trying to follow that maneuver node. Yeah, it really didn't want to stay straight. I've not had issues like that before. I mean, with the new 2 truss, it didn't really struggle with that. And so I basically had to go old school here and set up a new maneuver node to change my inclination and get me all the way out to Minmus. And I just used McJeb to do the burn. Unfortunately, it freaks out once again. I was afraid it was actually going to break off the lander with its wild flailing. So I actually changed that little... no, okay, here we are. We're changing our inclination now. So that other burn is just to get us out to Minmus. Here we are changing our inclination, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. If I was really smart, I would have done it from takeoff and actually flown about the inclination of Minmus. But spoiler alert, that's future missions. So here we are flying out to Minmus, and I realized, where'd my Kerbal alarm clock go? I guess it got cleared out at one point during my mod update. So then I decided, oh, let's use McJeb, but it doesn't work. So I'm hitting warp and it does absolutely nothing. So once again, we're stuck with doing things old school, and we do a quick orbital adjustment there because for some reason we actually lost our encounter with Minmus. We don't really want to be flying off into deep space, even though we probably just returned to Kerbal. Alright, so here's Minmus. the guys are now drooling out the windows. Yeah, I don't think you can drool out the windows of a spacecraft, but they're drooling on the windows as they look at this, what they call ice cream dessert. Jebediah, the dedicated lander, he humbly sacrificed himself for that. But I don't think most of the Kerbals saw it as much of a sacrifice. But he was really eager to get down on the ground, and so as they come in here again to lower their orbit, circularize. I struggle with that word. Circularize. Yeah, can't say it. Anyways, their orbit at a lower altitude, so they don't have to fly up nearly as high with the lander. This goes pretty much to plan after I had set the little number down there to be about 0.5. I can't read what it is, and unfortunately it's been long enough since I've recorded. And I can't remember... Oh yeah, I'm circularizing it again, because for some weird reason it decided it... actually, I think I was doing this by hand. Oh yes, with the way the command pod or command capsule and lander were flexing, it was very hard to get very precise orbits. So I just had to do it by hand with some light burns. Here we're using the ship manifest, I think it is. I have too many of these. I probably should clean some of them off. But this one's a really nice because you can transfer crew between... actually don't know what I just did there, but I think I swapped their seats. But you can transfer crew between different parts of the craft. I know Crew Manifest I think does that, but I couldn't find an updated version, unfortunately. But I really like this mod because you can do just about anything with it. You can do things like attack fuel balancer. I probably will still have that one even though I don't have it right now. Oop, don't break that solar panel, Jeb. Right, I think we're good. Yeah, sometimes you gotta remember to turn off McJeb or... Oop, don't whack him. Okay, no, you didn't. You gotta remember to turn off McJeb or kill rotation before you actually set the... before you undock something, or else it'll fling itself wildly. Now this little pod here is actually, again, going with the two-stage lander. One stage, actually, it uses the same rockets to take off and land, but it actually had a lower stage which had the experiments on it, since Jeb was going to take those and actually store them on the capsule before he actually took off. So just trying to imitate the Apollo style lander and command pod once again, and we did that. Now I'm noticing something here. As you fly around, I never noticed this, but as different light... Ooh, wow, we're coming really close. Jeb starts to... He looks out the window and says, oh, you know what? I am really close to that mountain, so let's... I'm panicking trying to figure out which one I want here, and I think, yeah, it's that one, and I burned up some just to make sure we clear that mountain. Actually, I probably burned way too much, and I might have actually cleared it, but I just did not feel safe trying to just fly over that. So there we go, we're clearing, and there is the lake bed we're looking for. But unfortunately, now we have a really high orbit, so we're going to have to waste some more fuel to get us down. But it shouldn't be too big of an issue. And I'm trying to adjust it so I get more into that lake bed. Or Jeb is trying to. Gotta remember, Jeb is the one doing this stuff, right? But, see, I still do stuff manually. Honestly, I probably don't do as much manual work as I should. I'll probably do mostly like the docking and stuff manually, even if McJeb eventually has a module for that. I think it does. It has an automatic docking. I'll probably continue doing that because the parallel negative tends to work fairly well. You just kind of set that and you slide right in. It'll set you to parallel, like it says, and you just kind of use your translation thrusters to move around and slide it right into place. Anyways, we're coming down here. We're using the translatron. I think that's what that's called. Again, don't hit panic. We don't need to be destroying everything again. And so, coming down at about, what, 5 meters? I can't, unfortunately, this thing, oh, and, yep, not McJeb. Jeb starts getting these weird radio signals from, as he gets close to the surface here, and he doesn't know quite where those are coming from. But, he decides to record a clip and send it back to the guys at the Space Center and see what they can come up with it. And so we start running through our experiments. Jeb pushes buttons and watches doors open. Actually, he probably can't watch it because I don't think he can see that from his window. We collect all this good science, which we have already gathered some of it, but since we could not bring it all back with the hard drives we had, me being brilliant like I am, and yes. So I updated Chatter, and it has this really annoying breathing. And unfortunately, I didn't really want to try to edit it out, but trust me, you will not be hearing this again after this mission. But, Jeb flies around for a little bit and decides to plant flag, gather soil samples, yeah, there we go. Unfortunately, you can't taste them at the moment like he really wants to because he can't take off his helmet in space. But, oh well. He might take a quick bite of it just to see what it's like in the capsule, even though I have a feeling it won't be as good as he actually thinks it's going to be. So, yep, so Jeb is the first one to walk on a moon. Oddly enough, it's the one furthest away, and I decided to actually fly out to the hills you see all the way out here. Minmus being the low gravity it is, Jeb decided he can use his RCS pack to fly all the way out here and take some soil samples, surface samples, plants a flag, I think. Do we plant a flag? No, we don't. Okay. Well, maybe we do. I don't know. But then Jeb heads on back, and of course, being the klutz he is, he decides to slide across the ground, going way too fast. And so he tries it again. Yes, with a single bound, he can leap over buildings and different structures. I don't know what that was, actually, a little pop-up that came up here. But he does it once again, because he's not Superman, he's Jeb. Super Kerbal, I guess it'd be. But he tries to get back here, and we store all our experiments. I do like those airlock sounds, though. And if you don't notice, there are some other sounds that, oh yes, and Jeb's fumbling around. He managed to break off a solar panel, so he did eventually break off that solar panel. So, unfortunately, we're probably coming to a close right around here. Jeb collected all this experiments up except these thermometers, unfortunately. So we'll record that data really quick. And if I was smart about this, what I would have done... Someone's yelling. Is that Bill? But anyways, if I was smart, the ship manifest actually allows you to pull the science in from those things into the command pod. But unfortunately... yep, there we go. Apparently we're running low on electric charge, which I don't know why, other than the fact we're... But, like I said, this is the end of this episode. I'm going to be trying to keep them about 20 minutes long. But until next time, guys, I will see you guys later.